Hello, welcome to Changing Times once again, where we are thriving because we are intentionally managing our changes. Today, I'd like us to go a little more into the emotion of guilt, the guilt that we experience when we lose someone. Last time when we had the conversation, it was more about introducing that particular emotion and sharing a bit of my experience when I lost the love of my life. And today I would like us to talk about the particular component of what we are guilty about, especially when we are faced with loss and we are thinking about our own part that we could have played probably better to ensure that maybe we could have done something differently. I'll share about my particular experience. So because we had 3 weeks sickness, the first week of that particular sickness, I thought that my husband would decide to go to the hospital and not that I would encourage him to go. Well, I told him, but I thought that he would go to the hospital. And we lost time, in my opinion. We kind of lost time. And of course, when the sickness became more complicated, I thought to myself at the time of loss, if I had insisted on going to hospital earlier, would it make a difference? And I grappled with that a lot. So when I asked in the previous video about what exactly one will be guilty about as a way of managing the guilt, it's more about being specific about what you feel guilty about your loss. And when you are specific about what you are guilty about in the presence of your loss, it helps you to deal practically with the situation. And I said that this is an internal process. It is usually inside of you, in your mind. Please note that the mind plays games. It does play games, especially when it wants to make you feel like you have no control over this. It will play you games. So you have to be intentional about the particulars of your guilt. And when you are intentional, when you specifically single them out, you will go into understanding what exactly you could have done to make the situation different. In my case, I thought about the time while I gave the care that I needed to give. I thought about how if only we had gone earlier. But I also realized that now this was when I was understanding the situation, the guilt. I understood that there was a lot of stigma in that time. There was other things. The children were sick. I did not have enough resources in terms of emotional resources to ask him to go to the hospital and insist, because there was other children to take care of. Now, understanding the other bits that were notwithstanding in the moments would help. For me, it helped to know that whether I had gone to hospital or not, I did not have control about the outcome, because all the same treatment was being received. It's only that this treatment was not in a confined hospital. It's not that he was admitted or something. So some people usually go through these emotions of had I not, if only I could or couldn't. It's not abnormal to be guilty. What becomes abnormal about the guilt is being unrealistic about your own guilt. While you can't take back the hands of time, you need to understand that you need closure on your own guilt. And closure means that you appreciate that yes, you could have done certain things, but how much of that role would actually bring back a life in the event that many other things are in play about loss. So as individuals, we need to understand that we can only do so much. Yes, I was guilty about the time bit, but having given of myself over and above, I realized that it takes God, and there is nothing much I could have done if God decided. Now, I request that when we talk about, or when we think about, or when we are afraid about our own guilt, we need to be practical about these particular guilt situations, and we need to know that maybe it was out of your control. So practice the practicability of your understanding of guilt. 1, 2. Think about the superior being. That yes, you may have had all your ducks in a row. You may have done everything. You may have been on time. You may have given every resource that you probably could give. But what happens when God decides that it is time? Now it comes down to, did I actually have control over this? However much I could have given of myself, did I have control over this? And when you don't have control over something, let it go. It takes time, but it helps a lot to know that whether you're guilty, whether you're ashamed of your own loss, being specific about these particular thoughts of guilt helps to break it down, to understand by yourself, and then to know that however much you may have wanted to do something differently, you don't have control when God decides. It helps a lot, and it only takes you as an individual to resolve this matter within yourself. When you find that it is difficult for you, because we get overwhelmed, a lot of things happen in the same time. So when you find that it is out of your control, talk to someone. Prayer helped me a lot. I did not know how to present it to God, but like I said, He gave me His own language. And somehow I got peace about the fact that I did everything that I could within my power. And when the superior being decided, I did not have control, but to accept, embrace, and rise. So I wish this for everybody. We don't have the same emotional resources, we don't have the same resilience, but we know one thing: everything has its own season and its own time. And in the time when you're supposed to be healed about this particular guilt, it will happen. Allow yourselves to flow, allow yourselves to move on, get yourself into the river of moving. Move, do other things while you continue with your grief, while you continue with managing your loss. Do other things, and these emotions will flood you sometimes, and sometimes they'll give you peace, but at the end of the day, they will not last a lifetime. They will have a stop, and your life will be better. Thank you so much. I hope that we shall continue to thrive through our losses and deal with particular emotions as they happen to us, and that we shall, at the end of the day, say glory to God. Thank you.